Here.
Here.
Hernandez.
Here.
Chow. Here. Lindsay Ryan.
Here.
Here. So I will turn it to you. We've got some celebrations.
Right. It's been a long standing tradition, history, which is great for District 65 to have Golden Apple Awards. And there were 732 nominations this year. 30 people were selected, and if we do our math, that's about 4%, which is awesome. And we do have one of our educators, Arturo, who you know is a music teacher for us, and we're very excited about that. We're going to be recognizing him at the March 23 meeting. We thought I'd just give you a little heads up on that. There will be a award ceremony held at the Q Center in St. Charles, and there's five of our staff members who will be going to that and taking photos, and we'll come back and recognize him truly on March 23 and go into more detail with that. But that's exciting news that Heidi and I wanted to share with you on that.
And he's the music teacher at Willard?
Yes.
Awesome.
And then our second person is Mr. Michael Allen, Dr. Michael Allen, who's here tonight. Dr. Allen, do you mind standing as we brag about you a little bit here? He's been named the 2020 elementary principal. Come on here. Oh, yeah. Get you by the mic here. We got to make this
Official.
right. He's been named the 2020 elementary principal of the year for the North Cook section, which is awesome for the Illinois Principals Association. What will happen now, board, all of the regions will be submitting their names to the state, and then there'll be someone from the state who will be named the elementary principal of the year. Yeah. It might be very fitting tonight if we told you a little bit about Mr. Allen, some things you may or may not know, in that he has been an administrator for 12 years, 8 as a principal, and that he has led the Oakton community for the past 2 years. Under his leadership, the parents, staff, and students have worked together and devoted collective effort and energy to improve the culture and climate at Oakton. Over the past 2 years, he's been providing committed, authentic relationships to everyone, better known as CARE. Mindfulness practices. When I was visiting Oakton, I got to sit in on one of the mindfulness, and all the breathing went on. But what a great way for the students to start their day out, and staff, and visitors, by doing that as well. He's also really shifted the PBIS and transformed that into really focusing now on relationships, restorative practices, character traits, which are very important with that as well. I thought we would end this by some highlights that I think are very noteworthy under Dr. Allen's leadership. There's an increase of 44 points on the 5 Essential Survey in teacher staff attendance has increased by 30%. Here's a very significant one that was mentioned earlier tonight about student discipline referrals. There's been a reduction of 55%, which is very noteworthy. Last but not least, there's been improvement on the Illinois School Report Card in the rating from going from underperforming to now commendable with that as too, which is awesome. Also in a meeting that we had fairly recently at the high school of highlighting the 2 schools, we did focus Oakton, and Dr. Allen and 2 of our parents spoke, and they were awesome. You did a great job of selecting them, and it was awesome. All of our realtors were very, very impressed of what we're doing throughout District 65, and we use this as an illustration of what we're doing there. So at this point, Dr. Allen, we'd like to formally congratulate you on receiving that award. And no matter where it goes from here, you've reached the pinnacle, and we're very happy with that. If you get to the next one, we'll have you back again. We'll be doing that too.
Do you have anything?
Words you'd like to share with us?
I feel like I'm being voluntold. It's the midnight hour for administrators. So I think I've heard this question a lot, just what are my thoughts about this award? And I think the first thing that just comes to my mind is just number one, there are just some amazing infrastructural things that are going on in Evanston that I think from resources, just from the investment in racial equity training, supporting the authentic vision of principals. For me, I literally have been able to come in here and just say everything that's in my mind, I can try to figure out how to operationalize, and no one's trying to stop me. And so that's really what's been helpful in thinking about how to transition to Oakton. Literally, the only thing that I can say that I think that I was good at is just I listened to what people were saying before I started. So there was just so many different meetings I had before I ever really officially started at Oakton, and we pretty much just did what everyone said the school needed. So it wasn't rocket science for me. But I think what can get lost in the translation of things is this is really just, we're really serious at Oakton about radically improving the performance of Black and Latinx students, and that's impossible without focusing on relationships. There's no school in America that really is doing a good job with serving accurately and effectively students of color and marginalized populations at rampant rates without first focusing on relationships. You can't skip the relationships of adults and then focus on relationships with students. So that's what we were trying to, that was the one thing that I just wasn't letting up with our staff, but I think everything that we accomplished is really a reflection of just how dedicated our staff is, and I don't just mean like teachers and teachers' assistants, but even the secretary, our custodians, our lunchroom folks, recess staff, so many different people who are just invested in ways that you can't always see on paper. And so for me, when I heard just how people were feeling left out and voiceless starting in, I think what this represents for me, and it makes me really proud to be able to be a part of the community at Oakton, is just they need the positive energy, they need the positive momentum to stay the course, because I think this is really just phase 1.5 of a really aggressive phase to really change the trajectory of what's going on with our Black and Latinx students in our schools. So, I mean, that's really what's important, I think, to share in this space is, by no means am I at a point to where I feel like we've arrived. It's just the foundational piece that's necessary to really being on our way down that path. So I am excited and proud of the momentum we're building, but make no mistake about it, we still have a long way to go. That mean I can get on my way?
You're dismissed. You're excused, yes.
No, thank you all. I really appreciate it.
You have to clone yourself a few times before you're allowed to go.
Right. I was going to say, we'll see you again when the state results come in, I'm sure.
That's the plan.
Congratulations. It's incredibly well-deserved, and we are very, very lucky to have you as part of the Oakton family and the larger District 65 family.
As am I. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we have the Sergio.
Yeah, so I move that the Board of Education approve the personnel retirements and separations as presented.
Second.
Halpern,
Yes.
Tanya Goody,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Chow. Yes. Lindsay Ryan,
Yes.
Hertha. Yes. Okay, and now we have public comments. Members of the public are welcome and invited to address the Board of Education during open public meetings. Speakers are discouraged from using the public comment period to air concerns about or voice personal attacks against specific district employees, being mindful that the public comment period is not a suitable forum for fact-finding or resolution of disputes. Rather, we strongly encourage members of the public who have concerns about specific district employees to communicate with us following district communication guidelines available in our student handbook. Please remember to state your name and that you have 3 minutes to address the board. Do we have him sign up or? Okay, so.
You too.
Yeah, please come into the microphone over there, please.
Is this being televised? Of course it is.
Yes. Always.
Beautiful. Okay. I'm Judith Treadway, and I have a couple of comments about the financial report tonight. Brief comments, but I want to ask that you all truly consider these things, as well as for internally with our support staff, as well as externally with our community. I would like for us to reconsider the Camp Timberley, because in my work here at the district, I know that a significant cost for Camp Timberley is for families who are low income or homeless, and the revenue from Camp Timberley is not enough to pay for Camp Timberley. So I think we need to think of something that's more in line with something more local that can give the students just as good an experience, but doesn't cost us as much money. I also noticed in the financial report there was some discussion about talking about the contracts with the secretaries and the child care staff. I don't know how they were selected to be scrutinized, but I hope that you all look at that closely. I think there's two things that the community would love to know, and that is the purchase services breakdown, as well as the consultants breakdown. I think that we spend a lot of money on things, and I'm looking at the outcomes. Are we spending money in a way that is going to bring increased educational or instructional outcomes or not? And then the other thing is that the out-of-state trainings. I think that's a very costly expense for the district. I think that one of the issues is that, is it better to bring the trainer here and train more people, or is it better to go to the trainer and pay a fortune for a few people? So I think that the benefits should be systemic. And I'd like to say that if you go to a training, there should be some kind of accountability for how that training is being implemented in the classroom. If it's not implemented in the classroom, then what's the use to having the training? I had a good trip, I had a good time, I got a per diem. Oh, good, I ate at a restaurant I never ate at before. So, but people need to understand that when they go for these trainings, that we need to see some outcomes from the training, that it's implemented immediately. And my rule of thumb that I was trained to understand is that after 3 weeks, you lose it. So you need to implement it as soon as you get back, you know. So I just wanted to ask those things to be focused on with our finance committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oliver, did you?
Thank you. I'd like to thank Meg for allowing me to speak before her. I wasn't going to say anything, but I wanted to quickly. As a community representative and a member of Opal, I'd like to further thank and salute Dr. Allen for his conscientious and very committed efforts here in this district. I knew of him prior to coming in this district, and he worked extremely hard in his last place of employment. I worked there in the area before I retired before he got there, but I knew of all the positive things that he did. I want to say to you that I'm very pleased with him, and I know that we just talked about the financial not plight, but situations that we're experiencing. And I think it's something that I like for the board to consider when it comes to possibly, if not a dinner or a day off or something, giving him something to acknowledge your appreciation of him that may not warrant some additional monies, because it's difficult being a principal. And I don't know if principals are ever thanked expressively for all that they do and all that they are engaged in doing. So I'd like for you to just consider that. If there's a possibility of doing something that lets him know that you appreciate him a little bit more, I would suggest that. That may not cost some additional monies. Thank you.
Hi. All right. I like here, not the podium. Okay, so good evening. My name is Meg Crewley, and I am the president of the District Educators Council, representing over 750 educators in our district. I identify as a white female, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. Alicia Garza, Patrice Cullors, Opal Tometi. These three Black women are the founders of the Black Lives Matter movement. Through this movement, they remind us to center Black lives, affirm the humanity of Black people, and pay attention to the contributions of Black people. DEC is excited to announce that our educators are joining in this work again this year by participating in Black Lives Matter Week of Actions for the second year. This is a national movement of organizing for racial justice in education. DEC has joined together with our administration and PTA to participate for the week of February 3rd through 6th, although teachers engaged in a kickoff conversation on Friday, January 31st. From pre-K to 8th grade, students will discuss race and racism in their classroom with the guidance of their educator. The lessons that educators teach during this week of action correspond to the 13 guiding principles of Black Lives Matter. Every day, educators will connect conversations around Black history, intersectional Black identities, and institutional racism with 2 or 3 of the guiding principles. We encourage families to continue the dialogue at home using the principles as a springboard or the newsletters and homework that come home with your students. The intent of this week is to affirm the lives of Black students, educators, families, and caregivers, and our values in District 65 for an equitable and racially just public school system by engaging in action, empowerment, and solidarity here in District 65 and beyond. This is an important opportunity for each of us to promote racial equity work, center Black lives and contributions in our teaching and learning, connect with our community to a global network of individuals striving to make the world more just. DEC believes in this week and the work that we are engaging in with our students, and we look forward to finding more opportunities to connect with curriculum that promotes equity, inclusivity, and understanding by integrating the history, experiences, and achievements of those who have been traditionally erased, unseen, or marginalized, including people of color, people who identify as LGBTQ+, people of different ability, status, or other marginalized groups throughout the school year. Thank you to the district leadership for partnering with us, the school board, and the administration, and the community for supporting our essential work. Finally, DEC would like to congratulate our member, Mr. Forte, and Dr. Michael Allen on their achievements acknowledged tonight. We are very proud of our talented staff and our leaders. Thank you.
With no further business, I adjourn this meeting at 8:58 p.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.